Welcome to Rayner Show. This is the podcast where I interview entrepreneurs and mavericks who get shit done. Hey, what's up, my friend? So today we have Robin Ho on the show. Again, right? So previously Robin was on the show and we talked about his growing up years, his life and trading in particular. But for today's episode, we're going to be focusing a lot about his battle with stage 4 cancer. And if you want to connect with Robin, right, I'll put his social media profile in the description below. But moving forward, right, here's what you can expect in today's conversation. Number one, Robin will share, right, what are some of the things that he did and tried to help fight cancer. Then we talk about how does Robin find the strength to power through these difficult moments. As you know, right, cancer patients, a lot of them have to go through chemotherapy. It's not the most fun thing to do. So how did Robin find the strength to, go through such tough times in his life? Then he also talked about the things that his family and friends did that meant a lot to him. He also shared the challenges that he has to overcome and what he learned from it. And finally, right, he shares advice, right, to other cancer patients, to others who are going through something similar, right, on how they can, better deal with the circumstance that they're in. So all this and more in today's conversation. Sounds good? Then go listen to it right now. And one thing, right? Me and Robin, we are not certified healthcare professionals. So if you want to try anything, right, that Robin has shared, right, and you're not sure if, you should go about doing it, please check with your doctor, a certified professional, before you do, any of the things that, Robin has shared. Sounds good? Fair enough? Then let's get back to the show. Okay, Robin, welcome back to the show. Happy to have you.
I'm glad to be back. Thank you for inviting me again, Rayner.
Pleasure is mine. As we discussed earlier, today's focus will be a lot on cancer because you are diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma cancer, and it's something that I think terrifies the heart of many people. So today, I'd like to kickstart maybe to share a little bit. What was your diagnosis?
Okay, first of all, I think anybody that has got if somebody breaks the news to you that you got stage 4 lymphoma cancer, I think most people understand what is a stage 4 lymphoma cancer. Stage 4 cancer for any cancer, not for only lymphoma, is almost like a death sentence, which means stage 4 means it has spread. That's what it means. Which means that somewhere in your body there is already a tumor, and the tumor has spread. So that is the meaning. Most times when we hear about stage 4 cancer, that's what it means. So I remember 3 years ago. So I was counting the dates, and today is not today, but this month on the 26th will be the 3rd anniversary of the time when from the time I got diagnosed.
Okay, from the time you got diagnosed.
Yeah, so it's another 26 days. It will be the third year.
And most people, if they are diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, they won't survive 3 years, right? Probably a lot more shorter, right? The lifespan.
Yeah, so it depends on whether they respond to the treatment, the chemotherapy treatment most times. So if they respond, then they'll probably live about 3-4 years. But if they don't, then they'll probably pass on quite fast. Yeah.
Okay. And what was your reaction when you first got hold of the news?
Okay, so of course it's unbelief. When the doctor first diagnosed me to have stage 4 mantle cell lymphoma, they said, that I had lymphoma. So basically, I still can recall on that day when I went to hospital. So what really happened was that I had sort of a lot of gas in my stomach. And then, I was I thought it was a gastric. So the first doctor I went to see was a gastro doctor. And then what happened was that the gastro doctor said that, hey, I don't think you have any gastric problems, So they refer me to another doctor, a senior gastro. And that senior gastro was checking me and said, hey, you got a tumor, in your stomach. So, and he knows exactly when he sees that, right? He's quite expert in that area. When he sees that, it was like a very enlarged spleen. right? So I think a lot of people don't know where the spleen is. The spleen is very close to the stomach, all right, just below the rib, or just inside the rib. So when it expands, right, you can feel it just below your rib. So initially, I can feel it, but because I exercise very often, so I always thought it's like one of my abs, my stomach muscles, the abs. I thought it was one of the abs. Normally you have three abs, right? You have 3 or 4 abs, right? And it's one of it. So I thought it was a bit, but lo and behold, it was a tumor. So I was admitted, like on the same week I was admitted, and he was already telling me that it could be cancerous, all right, but need to check. So what happened is that they took the diagnosis from the bone marrow, all right, and then from the diagnosis, so they found out it was lymphoma. So the doctor broke the news to me and my family, and so I still can remember what the doctor said. And he said, he said, Robin, you have been diagnosed with lymphoma. And then he said this, that as a doctor, right, or me, I said, as a doctor, if somebody would ask me for a choice, if you're inflicted with lymphoma, what choice will you take? So many types of cancer, right? What choice will you take? And the doctor will say, most people, if you're a doctor, you'll say, I would choose lymphoma. Because lymphoma is the easiest to cure. Most times it's curable. But then he said that, the bad news for you is that most lymphoma are curable, but your lymphoma is not curable. All right. So that was like a shock to me. So she was telling me that mantle cells lymphoma, they are so most lymphoma are, it's like, the reason why it's called lymphoma is because it affects the limb, right? So your white blood cells typically are used to defend your body system, all right, against inflammation, against diseases and all that. So they work as a defense. That one went haywire. So the white blood cell, did not function as it would, all right? It multiplied, and as it multiply abnormally, it forms a mass, and that mass becomes a tumor. All right. So it's a malfunction of the limb system, all right, which is your defense system, your white blood cell system. So we had this. So I had this mantle cells, and she said that your runway is not very long because it is not curable. So I asked, why is it not curable? Am I going to die tomorrow or in a month's time? He said, no, you're not going to die so soon. But this, because it's not curable, if you now go into chemotherapy, a treatment, right? Assuming you respond to the treatment, you will enjoy a remission period, which is what I'm having now. So I'm enjoying a remission period. But he said this cancer will not be cured. All right. It goes into hiding.
So remission means hiding?
Remission means hiding.
Okay.
All right. So not cure. For a lot of people, it's cure. But for me, it's just hiding. All right. He said this cancer will come back again. And she used a Chinese word, which I thought was very appropriate. And he said that 这个根不会死. 根 means the root will not die. The root will always be there and you'll always come back. All right. So every time we come back, right, your remission period becomes shorter and shorter, and then you will die. All right. So which means you have a death sentence, but you don't know how long you're going to live. Okay. But you know that the runway is not as long as you would wished. All right. So basically, I will tell people that it's like a summon has been given to you lah. You are fine already lah. So when you want to pay the fine, you don't you don't know when you pay fine. That's all. But just that you're fined. All right. Yeah.
So then, how do you share your diagnosis with your loved ones? Was your wife there with you when the doctor shared the?
Yeah. So I had one best friend with me there, and got my wife, my best friend there, and one of my best friend is a director in the hospital, right? So he was there, and then we broke the news because I wanted two person to be there. My wife and one of my best friend, who is a doctor, also in the hospital, and to share from medical view. And also this guy, he's also a Christian, and he can pray for me. So I thought that was very important. Right, so my wife, who loves me most, and my best friend, who are in the medical, and also he's a Christian, he can pray for me, right? So just wanted two person there. So the doctor broke the news to them, and then so the decision on that day was to, either to stay back straight away and go for the chemo, or just do what you want. All right. So there's alternative for you. You choose treatment right now, you can do it. You want to go home and rest, think about it, you can do it. Right? So the doctor advised that start the chemo straight away. But I said, check out. So I was telling my wife, if I had to die, as there's no cure, so it's a matter of time, then, check out and just maybe look for alternative cures. So that's where I started to look for alternative cures.
Okay, before we talk about alternative cure, what about your children? How do you break the news to your kids then?
So I went back. We told them exactly what the doctor said. I said, I have an incurable disease and may not live very long. So we all had to be prepared for it. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about some alternative treatment or the things you did, right, to help fight cancer, because you said that it's been about 3 years, right? Congratulations, right, since your first diagnosis. So what are some of the things that you did to, help fight cancer?
Yeah, so I think the reason why I want to come to this interview is because I know a lot of people are in my shoes before. So this is what I call cancer anxiety. All right. After a lot of people, my Facebook posts, people know I got cancer, people know I got cured. So I received many, many calls from people, all right, to ask me first how I handle the cancer, all right, and second, what did I do after that to stay alive? Yeah, so what I did was that after I left the hospital, okay, the first thing that came to my mind was that I'm going to die. So what do if I have to die? So there's only two alternatives. If I go into remission, possibilities, right? Either I go into remission or I'm going to die. So if I have to die, the first question that came to my mind was, am I prepared to die? And when I close my eyes, what I'm going to see next, I'm going to be in another world. What world will I be in? So that's the question that, first question across my mind. And that was a question that troubled me the most because I was not ready to go. I was already very settled, very comfortable in this world. And so now I'm not ready to go in another world because I don't know what is there. All right. So that was to me, it was the most frightening. So what happened was that after I left the hospital, first of all, I know that's incurable, right? So what do I do with an incurable disease? So the first thing I did, like a lot of people, is go and search the internet, Google mental cells, how to cure it, alternative medicines. So I Google and I read a lot about mental cells, I read a lot of lymphoma, did a lot of alternative cure. So the first doctor I went was, I went to see a TCM. I Googled him. So I went to see him and then he diagnosed me and he said, okay, he said, I think I can cure you. So his first medication to me was like some ginseng and some herbs and it cost, I said, how much does it cost? I said, $8,000. All right. First consultation, $8,000. Then I was thinking, oh my God, how much am I going to spend? And TCM, insurance don't cover TCMs, right? So, but I was going to die. Money was not important anymore. Yeah, I told my wife said, it's very expensive, this guy. I think we should see another guy. I said, no, just pay. I said, money is not important now. Just pay. Whatever he asks, just pay. All right. So we took some ginseng home and some very special herbs that he said was only reserved for emperors of China in those days, right? Only emperor in those days, in the older day, only emperor can afford this type of medicine, all right? So I, when you're at that stage, right? Anybody has got a solution for you, you pay for it. So I paid, all right? I took the medicine, it did not work, all right? I went to consult him again, did not work again, and then so a lot of people now, relatives, friends now come with many solutions, many cures. And I read the internet, there's so many alternative cures, so many alternative medicine, like keto diet, like go sugar-free, starve yourself for like many days, different type of herbs that you can take. So many, you just don't know what to do, right? So you're already lost. You don't know. I mean, you don't have enough time to try everything, right? Yeah. So everything that you try, you need some time for it to see whether it works. So I know I have not enough time. And I think about it, and then so I ask myself, so what's wrong with me? I mean, why am I taking so long to decide what to do? Should I even go to a hospital? So I realized one thing. All right, the reason why I was so troubled was because I had no peace. It was not about the hospital, the chemotherapy, and all that. It's not about it. It's like, I'm very troubled, and I'm very troubled with death. Death is like, where will I go if I had to die soon? So that was, to me, the most important question to answer. Yeah. So after I found that answer, I was ready now for death, and then I said, okay, let's go and try the chemotherapy, right? So I checked in, and I went through a course of like 1.5 years of chemotherapy, followed by stem cell transplant. You've not heard of it? Stem cell transplant. That's why I went stem cell transplant. And so since then, I've been like 1.5 years in remission. Yeah.
How was, because from what I've heard, chemo is painful, right? Was that the case for you as well, going through chemotherapy?
So I think the greatest fear about chemo, right, is a lot of people fear chemo. The reason why it's so fearful is not because of the pain that you go through. I think the reason why it's so fearful is that one day, when you go through chemo, and when you're going through the chemo, all of a sudden you realize that it doesn't work. Yeah, and that's the last line of defense. So I've been like in hospital, and I always choose, although I have the insurance to go to the first class, all right, but I don't want, I always want to be the 6 bedders so that I can be with cancer patients, all right, and know, what they go through. So I always choose to do that, all right. So I never want to choose to stay in the A1 for this reason. So what happens is that I've been in a hospital, staying there. Every time I go in, stay there about a week or two, right? And go through the chemo, and after chemo, I come out. Then after 1-2 months, go back in for chemo treatment again. So I was like, I see, so in a cancer ward, it's a different world altogether. All right, it's what I'll call a deathbed ward. All right, so most people come in, right? A lot of them don't make it out of the ward. A lot of them, right? So you see people come in, and they don't make it out of the ward. And so what happens is, your question is, so I see people go through chemotherapies, and a lot of them they come in well, just with some symptom of cancer, but because they cannot take the chemotherapy process, right? Some maybe the kidney is not working well, dialysis problem, and chemotherapy, you cannot do too much dialysis. Some people, that they are after chemo, their immune system is drops very low, the white blood cells drop very low, and then they get attacked by all sorts of diseases. So some people, they're too frail, too weak, like the older people with secondary disease, they cannot overcome that chemotherapy process, and therefore they succumb to it and they die. So a lot of people die because they cannot. So first thing, they cannot take the chemotherapy. Second thing is that the chemotherapy, they don't respond to the chemotherapy, and therefore they probably need another type of medicine, another concoctions of chemotherapy. Maybe switch to radiation or whatever. I don't know. So I'm not a doctor, right? But I see people, and a lot of people, because of that, they die. They come in, like still very active, and after a while, after going to chemotherapy, they get weaker and weaker, and then they just pass on. Yeah.
So chemo actually does take a toll on the body, because you say it kills all good cell, bad cell, all get killed. Is it?
Yeah. So chemotherapy, you've gone through it. It kills good bad cells, and also, that journey is not easy, because that's the journey that will bring down your white blood cells a lot. So every time you go through a chemotherapy, your white blood cells, the blood count drops a lot, which means your defense system is vulnerable, right? And when your defense system is vulnerable, any small virus that goes into your body or any infection that you get, right? To ordinary people, is a walk in the park. You just take some Panadols, rest, and you cure it. This one is like, so you get it, right? Infections, it's like you got no defenses, and the doctor always advise, when you are a cancer patient, your white blood counts are low. When you get this, go straight to ICU, emergency, right? So I have gone to emergency twice, all right, because of this, and nearly went to ICU, all right. So there was a time where it was so bad. I went to emergency, and the doctor said, "Uncle, all your readings are falling. We need to put you to ICUs." Yeah. So I've gone through that sort of phase. Yeah. So most cancer patients will go through, when you say painful, is that kind of phase, all right, where they go through a period where their immunity is low, they're susceptible to diseases, susceptible to infection, inflammation, that kind of thing, right? So that's the journey. And then chemotherapy, the pain of chemotherapy, the side effects of chemotherapy, you cannot eat, you feel nausea, all right? Some people, so I got a friend that was next door to me, a young man. He went through chemotherapy, and every night he nudged me and said, "Uncle, I got so much, it's so headache now, the chemotherapy, I just cannot handle, my head is blowing up, ask me, what do you do, that kind of thing." So, the side effects are all very different. To different people, different, yeah.
How about the side effects for you? What do you experience?
So the side effect for me is nausea. I cannot eat a lot, so I was like, reduce the bones. Yeah, and if you read about mantle cells treatment, right? So mantle cells is one of the most aggressive lymphomas or cancer, one of the most aggressive cancer, and therefore, because it is one of the most aggressive cancer and it spreads very fast, the chemotherapy that is administered to mantle cell patients are normally also one of the most aggressive kind of chemotherapy. And some people even call it, nuclear chemotherapy. Yeah. It's like dropping a nuclear bomb in your body, everything must go. Yeah.
And what other treatments did you try besides chemo?
All right. So in for mantle cells, right, because it affects the lymph nodes, and therefore technically all the bloods are infected. So what they need to do was to do a stem cell transplant, right? So drain out everything from me, okay, and then the stem cell transplant will put back. So what they did was they first harvest the baby stem cells from my body, so they took out from my blood, all right. So all the baby stem cells they took out from my blood. They store it in some freezer somewhere. So until when I'm ready, all right, all the chemotherapy is done. My course of chemotherapy is done. So now comes the nuclear chemotherapy, right? Which means lock, stock, and barrel, everything must go in your body. All right, all the blood, all right, which means you must go kosong. All right. So what happened is that they'll put me for stem cell treatments for isolation for about more than 1 month, right? Well, probably about 1.5 months isolation, and that's where they do nuclear chemotherapy on me. So every day they chemo for 4 to 5 days, all right, until they determine that my white blood cells are all gone, red blood cell, every cell is gone, okay. And then once they know that I'm really empty already, all right, and then I'm still alive, all right. You're empty and still alive. Okay, it's time to now inject back the stem cells that they have taken from me earlier, all right. So inject the stem cells, and when the stem cells the baby cells start producing, then I'm recuperating again, and my white blood cells and red blood cells start coming back. All right. So that process was like in the hospital for 1.5 months, right? So I can see myself. Every little hair on my body is gone. All right, because you don't have the cells. Every taste bud is gone. Right? Because you cannot taste anything because everything is gone. Because your white blood, red bloods are all gone, and therefore you cannot taste everything. And we all know that our hairs, all right, for hairs to grow our body, we need the white and the red blood cells, right? And so because stem cells removes everything, I'm totally hairless. And because I cannot eat, no sense of taste, very nauseous. So I never eat any. I seldom eat anything. I just sip of water, some milk to keep me sustaining. And I was reduced to bones. And I remember one night or one day in the morning when I woke up and I looked at myself in the mirror, I was thinking the only difference between me and a corpse, right, a dead corpse, right, is because I still have some moisture. But other than that, how I look at a corpse, right, is the same. But everything else was gone.
And also, I believe you tried alternative treatment, like herbs and stuff like that. Maybe could you share a little bit more on that?
Oh yeah. So what was frightening is that when I had mantle cells, I spoke to survivors of mantle cells, and I also spoke to loved ones who lost their loved ones through mantle cells. So that was so I met a mantle cells patient he survived, all right, still surviving after 10 years. So that gave me some hope. Then I met a couple of them, mantle cells loved ones who their loved one passed away because of mantle cells. That sort of, give me a lot of uneasiness, all right, because when most of them, when it comes back, right, they will be gone within months. When the mantle cells come back, the stories I hear is that they'll be gone within months because once it comes back, it becomes more and more aggressive, right? So this is like the stage I'm in. When it comes back, it's going to be pretty fast, right? So I know that something like so I have to live life differently, right? The diet cannot be the same. My stress level cannot be the same. My work routine cannot be the same. The kind of thing. So I know, all right, my runway is now unpredictable and short. So I know that, the most important thing now to do is keep the cancer from coming back. So I did a couple of research, all right, into alternative cures, all right, and also there are some kind souls, all right, on my Facebook group that reached out to me and said, hey, my dad got cured because of this plant. Would you like to come and see this thing? So for me, remember I told you that so many people offer so many type of alternative cures, and on the Google, there's so many also alternative cures. You have to because you don't have enough time, right? You have to choose one of them that you think has got the greatest probability of cure and that can help you. All right. So I have to choose. And to me, 2 criteria, right, to choose this alternative cures or possible cures. 2 criteria. 1, there must be people with testimonials. So I must witness people with real testimonials that they have been cured. with these herbs or this plant or these alternative cures. All right. Second is that there must be some scientific proof that whatever that is taken, right, has got this chemotherapy or cancer curing agent. So I don't want to end up taking something that, that doesn't help cancer at all. All right. It's just some old folks tale. So there are a lot of things out there that are old folks tale, and the people are cured not because of what they think, but because some other reason, and they think that was the reason, right? Yeah. So let me just go into a bit of details, all right, into this. So remember I said the two criteria, right? So the first thing God was merciful to me. A guy on Facebook, I don't even know him. He came to me and he said, my father was given 4 months to live, prostate cancer, stage 4. My wife is a doctor. He said, my wife is a doctor. My father had cancer. And he said, I don't want my father to die. All right. And he said that he read somewhere in some, that this plant, these herbs, all right, it's called Lear indica. All right. And I brought the leaf along, all right? So this is Lear indica. All right, this is Lear indica. Can you see that?
Yeah, camera is here.
The camera is there, right?
Yeah.
Can you see the leaf there? It's special. The leaf is very special. A lot of jagged edges, just Lear indica, all right? And then, so just the plant, right, that this guy introduced to me, and he said, my father got cured by this. And then I said, what's the evidence? How do you know your father got cured by this plant? He said that every time, right, my dad take this plant, he goes and checked. His cancer marker has dropped to the equivalent of chemotherapy. And then, he said, my wife is a doctor. She can testify to it. Yeah. So when I look at it, I say, wow, But then there's also another question. So a lot of people are worried that, some of these plants, you can take it for a while, but if you take it for a long term, you may damage your kidney, you may damage your body, body parts and all that, right? So when I asked, second question I asked, how long have you been taking it? Then she said, my dad has been taking it for 20 years. Every day she takes this. So that was my first clue, this plant, all right? So my first plant is called Lear indica, or Lear indica, Leindicca, Lear indica. So Lear indica is that biological name, or they call it botanic name, right? But in English, it's called bandicoot berries, right? It has got when it grows up to be like a slightly big scrub. So they're scrubs, right? So it has got berries. That's why it's called berries. All right. So is that he was a live testimonial. So what I'm short of is a scientific evidence. And so happens that I bump into NUS research. And because it's an NUS research, right, I became very interested and because it's something that we can relate to NUS, right? So NUS research did a paper, right, on cancer healing plants or plants with cancer healing properties. Okay, so they did a research paper and it's published on the newspapers. All right, so I Googled for it and I found it, and then I find it. This same plant was mentioned in there. So I know that, there's some scientific evidence that this plant has got cancer healing properties. So for the viewers here, if you want to be this article, just Google and cancer killing plants NUS research. All right. So this article is very interesting. All right. So what happens is that they interviewed 200 people over a period of 3 years. All right. And they interviewed them on what they take, all right, for other illnesses and cancers, what herbs, what alternative medicine they took. So the common ones, right, were snake grass, like papaya leaves, like, for example, even soursop leaves, snake grass, and things like, and many others plants. All right. So they took a sample of like, I'm not sure how many plants, but many plants. And they did those things that the interviewers, right, they who have like consume it, right? So they interviewed them, and they found out that of all these indigenous plant or plants that the kampong people, the village people will use, okay, without Western medicine for cancer. So they narrow down to like a couple of them, and they put them to a test, right, to see whether they are chemotherapy has got chemotherapy effects. And then of all the plants, okay, they narrow down to 5 with chemotherapeutic effect, okay. And they say that this plant here, all right, which is Deer indica, this one here, all right, has got the most powerful and anti-cancer sort of chemotherapy effect, right? So I sort of now have 2 evidence. One, a live testimonial, another one, NUS research paper that say that it has got. So I took my chance, all right? I took my chance and I took it. And not that it has cured me or anything, but for 3 years, it hasn't come back. All right, my cancer was supposed to come back, but did not come back. So I'm grateful for it.
Was there like a timeline where doctors say you can expect it to come back within 1 year, 2 years, like that?
Oh, so when I Google for mental cells, they say average lifespan over 5 years. All right, so
before
you
remission,
Google,
before it comes back, it's
from
5 years.
diagnosis,
Okay,
until you die. So most people live 5 years about there, right? So from there you can go back. how fast it comes back, lah. Yeah. So I thank God, but okay, the 5 years is not up yet. Okay, I'm on my 3rd year, so I hope that I can live beyond that, lah. Beyond that 5 years of average lifespan of people who got mental cells. So I hope, yeah.
and how do you like chance upon? I believe you go to a herbologist in Singapore as well, and to learn more. So I believe the Lear indica is not the only herbs that you're taking.
Yeah, excellent. So there was this in the process of looking for alternative medicine. Some of my friends they introduced me to this angketan herbs. All right, somewhere in the Kranji area, very far. So he had a farm, and very interestingly, this is the only guy that offers alternative cure, not only for cancer, for all sort of things, all sort of diseases. Whether you got like eczema, whether you got like kidney problems or heart problems, So he offers many of this alternative. So he's like a herbalist, right? So he's not a doctor, right? So he only prescribes plants to you, okay? And to me, that was the safest option, all right? Western medicine, TCMs, and herbalists, all right? So that was the safest option because all herbs come from fresh plants. So it's just like eating vegetables, okay? So they don't have a lot of side effects. Right? So those plants that I take, right? So what I enjoy going to, this herbalist is that I learn from them. So after my cancer, right, I decided to go on a cancer ministry, do a cancer ministry. All right, so the cancer ministry is just to help people with cancer, but people particularly with cancer with no hope. So those people that are still like, undergoing Western treatments, I would say stay there. Don't come, all right? Until if it doesn't work, I can help. I mean, you got nothing else to lose, right? You're going to die anyway, right? Like me, right? I'm going to die anyway, right? So if I'm going to die, then, you can try anything. If not, you're going to die anyway. There's nothing to lose, right? So I said, okay, if you cannot. So I'm doing a ministry now to people like that, all right? I bring them to see the herbalists. And then to seek alternative cures. And if they don't have alternative cures, at least they have hope. All right. Yeah. So most patients, cancer patients, they go through what we call a crisis of hopelessness. And that is terrible. I mean, I've gone through it. It's a crisis of hopelessness. But if somebody comes to you with hope, all right, whether it's hope of alternative cure, whether it's a hope of emotional, how should you emotionally, whether it's hope that one day when you die, it may be a better place for you. A better place for you. This world is with cancer and all that infirmities, it's really suffering, and maybe, you go to a better world. So that's what I help people today. I do a ministry. So what I do is that I bring them to herbalists. I show them the plants. Right? If they are not able, I will make the herbs for them and bring it to them. Right? And so some cancer patients, they are not, like, for example, what the cancer patients go through. They need somebody to talk to them. Like, for example, my neighbor will call me every time the husband throw into a fit because he thinks he's going to die, and he gets angry over everything. She cannot handle him anymore. She'll call me and say, "Robin, can you take him out for a while? I need caregiver, going through a tough time. Can you take him out a while?" So I will take him out a while, and I'll talk to him, and I encourage him, that kind of thing. So that's what I do, all right, ministries. Yeah. So I bring the cancer patients to church, right? That kind of thing. And sometimes they need people to fetch them to a doctor. And I'll fetch them to a doctor. I'll just accompany them for a day. Because I have gone through that process. I know what they need. Most cancer patients need. So that's what I do, that ministry. Yeah.
Then during the period where you say there's no hope, very hopeless and feeling very down, where was your source of strength, to keep fighting and going on?
I always thought that, when you have cancer, you need very good support from family members, from your children, from your wife and all that. But really, after I've gone through the cancer process, I know that, when you are at your deathbed, or you're undergoing some very painful treatment like chemotherapy, nobody can help you, right? You suffer in that room, you shout, nobody's going to hear. If you are in pain, if you are lonely, nobody's going to help you, because none of your loved one is going to be there for you 24 hours. All right. All they can do is visit you during the visiting hours for the 2 hours, and they are home. The rest of it is you will be alone. Right? So after going through that process, I knew that, I cannot place my trust, my hope, and, that other people, my loved ones, can come to my help when I'm in trouble. So I knew that my relationship with God, right, has to be good, because He's the only person now that can help me. All right. And if you are a Christian, you will know that verse in Psalm 23. It says that there's a verse in Psalm 23 to say that while we walk in the shadow of the valley of death, all right. So every one of us will one day walk in the shadow of the valley of death. All right. And your help and your comfort can only come from God. There's nobody who will help you. Okay. So I decided that I should, my only source of help was from God. And I wanted to reconnect with Him. All right. So there are a lot of Christians like me in the past, we know that God loves exists, but we never experience His love. We know that God is there, but we never experience His presence. So it was in my journey, in a cancer journey, that I learned now to experience His love, okay, and be closer to His presence. So now, after going through all that stage, I can say that I'm ready to go. If the cancer comes back now again, I can say that, I wouldn't say I have zero fear, but I'm ready to go. You know what I mean? So that gives me a peace. So in the end, I tell all cancer patients, all right, that has not long to live, I told them that although, they can go around seeking for alternative cures, but I say the best cure is the peace in your heart. You must have a peace that whatever comes, whether it's death, all right, whether, eventually you'll be cured, whether it's death, which is the worst scenario, you are ready to go. Yeah. So in the course of ministry, I've met so many people that was about to die. All right. And I spoke to them, I witnessed them. Some I've witnessed just after I spoke to them for a couple of weeks, and they're gone. So I've seen how these people react. What are their aspirations? All right. What they say to me. All right. What are their plans? What are their anxieties? So I see all this. Yeah. Yeah. So that's my cancer ministries.
So what are some of the anxieties that they have?
All right. So maybe I should just share one story. All right. Very interesting one. So first I was glad that, first I asked God, why, he could have just taken me away, right? So the reason why I'm surviving is because, first God has allowed it. And that is technically like a gift for me. All right. I didn't work for it. It's a gift. All right. So God gave me a gift and say, okay, I extend your life for a little while more. All right. So I know that's precisely my case. All right. My cancer is not cured. I'm living in the shadow of death. Okay. So I'm giving that amount of time to live. So I asked now, how should I live it? So I asked God now, and I said, now that you give me a little longer to live, what will you have me to do in this life? Why do you give me extended life? Why? So there was two possible answers. So I pray and I seek the answer. And one of them that came to me was a cancer ministry. All right. So I called you to minister to cancer patients. So my next question I asked was, then how do I start the ministry? I asked, how do I start the ministry? Where am I going to witness to cancer patients? Where do I find all of them? All right. So the answer I got was that, that's your calling. The rest, you leave it to me. All right. And lo and behold, I'm ministering to so many cancer patients now. All right. They come to me, they consult me about the herbs. I bring them to Uncle Tan. Some of them, I even harvest the herbs and give it to them. Put them in the pots, give it to them. So quite busy actually with cancer ministry now. All right. So what happens is that so I do this cancer ministry, and so I was about to share to you a story. Remember, I was about to share a story, a very interesting story of how God has led me to this cancer ministry. So I asked God, if you are in this ministry, tell me what to do. Open the doors for me. And then one day, so after my remission, I went back to my work again. And that one of my aspirations is that before I die, I want to create a very profitable trading robots so that, you help a lot of people to make a living just using robots, trading robots. Don't have to stare at the screen anymore. I used to stare at the screen, right, from day to night. That's probably one of the cause of my cancer. I don't know, right? Like from day to night, I stare at the screen. It's like sometimes start off like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, right, all the way to the wee hour, 5 a.m., 6 a.m. before I go to sleep. Next morning, I trade. So all my life I've been doing this. So it could be one of the causes. I don't know. So I don't want people to go through. So I don't want to do this anymore. All right. So, but trading is still a lot of my passion. All right. And I believe trading is a calling for me in this life. And so I said, cannot do this anymore. I need a trading robot. So I was developing a trading robot. All right. And then I was ready to launch one. So I wanted to experiment with 10 people. So, but that 10 people, some people I know well. And so I called the 10 people up. I say, hey, I'm back from cancer. I'm starting my work again. I'm ready to launch my robots. Would you want to try my robot? And then I called this girl called Winnie. I called her and said, hey, Winnie, I have this seminar. I invite you to come to my launching of my trial run, right? It's a trial run for my robots. Would you want to come? And then she said, yeah, I love to come, but I cannot come. I said, why you cannot come? She said, because I got cancer. All right. Winnie said, I got cancer. And I'm not given long to live. I'm under chemotherapy. I'm so weak and hardly walk. I want to come, but I cannot come. All right. Can you, allow me to subscribe to your robots? All right. Without coming for the seminar. So I told her that, at your stage, that's not your priority anymore. Treating robots is not priority, right? You need to understand, you need to look for alternative cures. Right? So I said, I got some plants that I see these herbalists for people like you who has got no more hopes. All right. And these herbalists I see him prescribed to a couple of people like you, got no more hope, chemotherapy cannot cure you. I said, would you like to have some of these plants? And she said, sure, I love to. So I said, okay, this coming Saturday, this weekend, I'll bring it to your house. So on that Saturday, that was about a year ago. On that Saturday, so her name is Winnie, right? So she stayed at, near Margaret Drive. All right, somewhere near Margaret Drive. So I brought, I put the plants inside there, and I drove to her house. And she met me. And then she said, thank you for bringing the plant to me. Would you want to go upstairs and have a drink? I want to serve you a drink. So I said, okay. So I went to her house. She stays in a 4-room flat with her husband. Her children were all away in Australia. All right. So her story is that she migrated, sold half everything. They migrated to Australia, the kids and all that. Then when she had cancer, the healthcare here was better. She said the healthcare was better, and Australia was so cold, she had to come back. So she came back and lived with her husband. Children no more, all right, with her. And we sat down for a drink with her husband, and together with Winnie, her husband, they told me that, she is very frail because of chemotherapy. And 5 years ago, the doctor said she would die, but she's still living. But she can feel that she's not doing good. All right? So I gave her the plants. She was very happy because she now has things that she got, she can rely on the plant instead of chemotherapy. She knows that she'll break down. She cannot take chemotherapy anymore. So the first thing she asked me was that, how did I go through my cancer? All right. And then I said, the first thing you need is, remember I said, you need peace. So I asked Winnie, do you have peace? She said, no, I cannot. I don't have peace. Knowing that I'm going to die, I cannot have peace. And, but I'm a Taoist. She said, I'm a Taoist. I'm a very staunch Taoist. Then I said, does your religion bring you any peace? She said that, I cannot go to a Taoist temple anymore, and because I'm frail, I cannot go and offer my offerings to the gods and all that. And then she said that, she don't have a lot of peace. And she asked me, how do you get peace? All right. So I said, in my Christian religion, you don't have to go to temples. You don't have to go to churches, right? God lives in your heart, all right? God is the temple in your heart, and it gives you peace, all right? So I said, my God is not only a God, He's my friend. He lives in my heart. He's always with me. So when I'm lonely, when I'm fearful, I talk to Him. And then He say, what's the difference between your God and my God? I said that I think the real difference is that, when you're going to die, right, you don't want to believe in another person that will die or have died before, right? You want to believe in a person that can overcome death or conquer death. I said Jesus is the one. Is the only person that came down as God, right? He was like, when he came down to the world, he was like a God man. He was not only a man, but he was God, right? So it was a God man that came, and when he came only for one purpose, right, is to die for man for their sin. So he died, and after he died, he rose, right? He rose. And because he rose, he was able to overcome death. And if you believe in him, he say you will also overcome death, and he will see you in paradise. All right? So you overcome death like him, you'll be one day be immortal. And I said that, so that is the promise that God gave you. And then he said, how do I get this peace? How do I get this promise? Then, so the conversation went on. And then I said, so we were talking about like 2 hours. And then I said that, maybe I can do a Bible study with you. Every week I can come. I can sing a song with you, a Christian song. I can tell a Bible story every week. And I said, yeah, I love it. She said, then I said, next week I'll come and I will bring another herbs for you. All right? So on that week, her husband texted me and said, she took this herb, she feel good and all that. Then she said, can you come with another herb? Do you have another one? I said, yeah, I got another herb that you can take fresh. And you can just grow in the pots, right? So the next week, I was on my way. The husband texted me and said, don't come anymore because Winnie just admitted hospital again because her tumor was growing. So while she was in hospital, she was still texting me, I hope to be out of hospital to see you again. So I said, yeah, sure. Then, so on the week that she was supposed to discharge, she had an operation, all right? The week she was supposed to discharge, she said, Robin, I'm so excited to see you, all right? I'm going to get back home very soon, all right? On the next days, which is, I think remember it was like Thursday, she said, this Saturday, I hope to see you in my house. So with your plants, with your herbs, right? So I came with another pot of herbs. On the way there again, the husband texted me again and said, sorry, Winnie was admitted again. So like after she was admitted the second time for 2 weeks, it was radio silence. There was, she did not contact me anymore. I was very worried. I knew something happened already. And then before long, I had a text from her son. And the son said, this is, my mom's, I found your phone and your conversation, all right, on my mom's text, my mom's handphone, all right? And my mom mentioned about you. And she said, we would like to invite you to her obituary, her funeral service. Yeah. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll go. So on that week, I went for funeral service and lo and behold, I found, so the son told me that we don't know what happened to my mom. What happened was that, she was all, prepared already. She even bought her robes, that to go into the funeral, the robes, all right, to go in the funeral, all right. The coffin was a Taoist coffin. Even a Taoist priest, Taoist temple, everything already booked. So my mom changed it the last minute. She said, I want a Christian church, all right, to spend my funeral. And then I was thinking, wow, so he was telling me also, the son was telling me, you don't know what happened to my mom. All of a sudden, it just changed. And then I got the answer from the dad. So the dad was with the mom all the time. The kids were not with her because they were in Australia, just respect, right? So the child asked her dad, I said, so dad, the name is Jimmy. I asked Jimmy, what happened to your mom? He said, Robin, you don't know what happened. After you came to our house, you told her, right, that, so I gave her an audio Bible, all right, audio Bible, because she cannot listen, because she was too weak. And I said, just listen to this book of John. It tells you about the love of God, all right, how God came to this world to pay your debts, your sin, all right? So most of us who have sinned, right? I mean, God said that every human being got sin and we are all on the way to hell And he came to pay our debts. And we must recognize that we are sinful people. And I said, all this, right? The purpose of life, why you come to this world, the purpose you come to this world, where you will go, and who can save you, it's all in the book of John. She said, listen to it. So she listened. So her husband told me she's very on. She listened to the book of John. And then one day she asked her husband, she said, Jimmy, can I convert to a Christian? Then the husband said, of course you can. You know, you are not long to live, right? You do what you want, right? I cannot stop you. Then she got a doctor from the hospital who's a Christian to convert her, to say a sinner's prayer. So now she wants to accept Jesus Christ. She said, I want to accept Jesus Christ. She knows why she come to this world, her purpose in this world now, and where she will go after she die. And then her husband said, I never see her so peaceful before. And then she left. All right? So that was like, to me, right, it reminds me about God's grace. You know, have you seen Easter? You know, Easter, you always see 3 crosses, right? In the center is Jesus Christ, and the other 2 crosses were the thief. So remember the story about Jesus and the 2 thieves? So they were having a conversation, right? The 3 of them, when Jesus was there. And you know that Roman soldier, when they crucify, when you are crucified, it means you are a hardened criminal. You know, you are the worst of the worst criminal. And Jesus, right, was placed in that place, you know, crucified as one of the most, you know, the worst criminal we ever seen. And with the other 2 thieves, and they were talking. And the conversation was, so one thief, so that everybody were mocking him and say, if you're the king of the Jews, you know, if you're the king, how come you can't save yourself? Why you cannot save yourself? How come you're dying on the cross? How come you're subjected to all this torture, right? So the other thief the thief on the right, tell him, hey, if you're the king, right, why don't you save yourself and save me? And Jesus didn't reply him. And then the thief on the right is saying, hey, you know, if you're a king, please also save me. He was very worried by himself, right? So most humans are like that. They are only worried about themselves, right? So he says, save yourself, save me. But the other thieves, all right, told this thief off, and he said, at first this thief on the left, right, was also mocking Jesus. And all of a sudden, he sort of changed his mind, all right? And he was mocking on the other thief, and he said, you shouldn't say this to him. Both of us are here because we have done heinous crime. All right, we have murdered, we have robbed. But this guy is innocent. He didn't do any crime, but he's crucified. He's God. And please don't mock at God, he told the other guy, right? And then Jesus said to this guy, he said that, you know, you're going to die, but when you die, I will see you in paradise. So the guy was saying, the thief on the left was telling Jesus that one day when you go to heaven, can you please bring me along? And Jesus said, I will. I will see you in paradise. All right? So it reminds me of the story of Winnie, right? Last minute, right? At the deathbed, right? This is called deathbed dying syndrome. A lot of cancer patients, they go through that deathbed dying syndrome, and they are most fearful, right? So it's like this thief, right? Last minute, Jesus said, I will see you in paradise. You will live again with me. You will die and you will live again with me. So Winnie went through that, all right? Last minute, God's grace. So in the Christian beliefs, right? You know, you cannot save yourself. You are a sinner. The only thing that can save you is grace. Grace means pardon. God came, Jesus came, he died for you, he pardoned you, and he gave you grace. And it is the grace that saves you. It's never about you, it's about God. All right? So life is, you know, to me, right, life is an ecosystem. All right? So whether you believe in God or not, so in the Bible, they always say that there's nobody that don't believe in God. Why? Because the Creator the creation is a self-evident fact. All right, you just look at the world around you, the creation. Why is the sky blue and not black? Why is the grass green and not brown? Why is it that our human body function? We got white blood cells, red blood cells, all right, all serve different purpose. We have 5 fingers, 1 finger less, if doesn't function as well. Why is it we got 2 ears and not 3 ears? That kind of thing. And a friend of mine who's a doctor, he tells me that in the medical faculty, right, always the most Christian. And I say, why? He said, the more they study about the human body, right, the more they believe that there is a creator. Okay? So I think life is an ecosystem, right? So when I'm about to die, or I'm preparing to die, I always tell God that I don't want to be a plant. A plant? When a plant grows, right, it just grows. Every morning, the sun comes out, the sun goes down, time passes, the sun grows, and one day the plant will die, right? So I said, I don't want to be a plant. I want to live with a purpose like you, right? So Jesus came, right, with a mission to die. So in life, right, the system is that. So in the Christian doctrine, right, before something comes alive, something must die. So it's like sacrificing, right? So Christian doctrine is always, until the seed fall to the ground and die. Jesus said, until the seed fall to the ground and die, it will come forth fruits. All right? It's like, say, eat a papaya. All right? The papaya will end there if the seed don't go into the ground. So the papaya must die, right? So Jesus is kind of the same. Right? He must die so that all of us can have life again. So he sacrificed. That was a sacrifice that God did. He gave his son, sacrificed for us, so all of us can receive his grace to live. It's like, now you're murdered. You murder somebody, right? The only way to save you is I pay for you. So that is the Christian doctrine. And that will give you perfect peace. Yeah, that's all.
Great, awesome. Okay, just a quick one. Do you know that you can download the transcript of this episode? This way, you can easily recap the lessons and insights of this episode without having to listen to it again. And that's not all, because you can also download the transcripts of all my past episodes and quickly catch up on what you've missed. So if you're interested, go down to raynerteo.com/script. Script is spelled as SCRIPT. So once again, it's raynerteo.com/script. Now, back to the show.
And maybe now I'd like to talk a little bit about maybe your family. I'd like to hear, what did your family and friends, do for you during this period that means a lot to you?
All right. So when you are living and having a wonderful life, so most of us who are living, have a wonderful life, never think of the other side of the world. So the other side of the world that I've gone through is a world that people face with death. All right. And they all live differently. They all talk differently. So on this side of the world is people who have hope. All right. And so I went to the other side of the world, and then I mixed with people on this healthy side of the world. You understand? So when you're on the same side, things are different. So when you are on the other side, you need help. Right? So as a cancer patient, you need a lot of help because you cannot cook for yourself. All right? You got no money. You cannot work. And the cost for cancer is very high. All right? And then you cannot contribute anymore, okay, to the society. Cannot contribute to your business. Cannot contribute. So because of that, very soon, the people who talk to you are no longer talking to you. People will be, so after a while, in cancer, people that I find that a lot of people that talks to me are no longer talking to me. My friends who are my friends were no more my friends, and they all disappeared. But the good thing is that it's a filtering process. You understand? That when you come out of cancer, these are the people that really loves you. These are people that, concerned about you, really loves you. Yeah. And for a good example was this, So when I was in cancer, I was very clear. All right. There's only there are only certain people that needs to know that I got cancer. Right. First, they are my pastors. Why? Because these are people who can pray for me. And at this time, nobody else can help me except God. So you need people to pray for you, right? So I only reach out to the pastors. So I reached out to 2 pastors, right? So one pastor was in the church that I'm in now, Gospel Light Christian Church, right? And then another pastor was that I know for like 30 years was in another church. So I reached out to this pastor. He said, hey, Robin, I'll pray for you. And he's calling me almost every day and telling me, I'm praying for you. Don't worry, I'm praying for you. So the other one I spoke to, I said, got cancer, I'm going to die very soon. And then he said, okay, I will pray for you. But, he didn't call me back until 3 months' time. And I was, hey, it is after 3 months, right? You haven't died, right? So already, right, that, who loves you and who doesn't, right? So, and then when your life, right, has got a shorter runway, you now got to prioritize, who you want to be with. And you want to be with people that loves you, all right? And then you also know that the people that visit you, pray for you, all right? Like even your relatives, your nephew, your sisters, your auntie, uncles, all right? Then you know already. So to me, it was a good filtering process, all right? People that loves me, my friends, and all that, yeah. And so but in the end, like I said, these are human beings are all also as fragile as you, all right? They all come and go. So the one that you have to depend is God. That's a question.
Yeah, pretty much. I was asking, what did they do for you during this period that means a lot to you?
Oh yeah, so
I'm hearing like prayers, are you saying?
So that was the most important. All right. So especially, so I just want to mention that there was this pastor that talks about, right, about him. His name is called Dr. Paul Chu. Right. He comes from Gospel Light Christian Church. I knew him for many years. And he told me that, so the minute I told him about cancer, he prays for me. And at the end of my cancer, he said, Robin, me and my wife pray for you for the last 2 years. Every day, without stopping. Every day we pray for you. And I believe him. And when he told me that, right, I was in tears. My wife was in tears. My sister were all in tears. And it's like, boy, that's really genuine love, right? So now that, he said, he said, we will pray for you until you got no more cancer. All right. And that was, so it's like, that's what I need when you have a cancer. And as a Christian, I can tell you that, that prayer really works. All right. It's like, these are the things I'm thankful for, right? So one day I was almost going to ICU, right? So all my readings, I was infected by viruses, right? So I was, and I got no defense. So I was like really into the emergency ward. And then before I know it, the doctors were like, poking needles through me, and I was on all sort of life support system. Then doctors came and they said, Uncle, we need to put you to the ICU now. Then I told all these doctors, where are you from? They said, we are from the ICU team. We are here to assess whether you should go to ICU. The thought of ICU scares me, right? Because I know a lot of people die in ICU, never come out. Right? Because then you're on life support and all that, right? So I said, no. Give me 15 minutes. They said, why? Uncle, you need to go to ICU. I said, give me 15 minutes. And then they asked why. I said, there's one guy out there, my pastor, he's out there. The one guy out there, he cannot come in because emergency ward, but he's praying outside. He told me, he texted me, he said he's praying outside for me. I said, that's 15 minutes over. So after the 15 minutes, I became alive again. So you believe? I'm not sure. You believe in prayers or not? That's prayer, right? So for me, that was what I need. I did not need anything else. Yeah. So that is why I always, during that time, I only talk to people who can, like love me and pray for me. Love me enough to pray for me, that kind of thing. So that's what I need, yeah.
And also earlier you talk about like when some of my friends know that you got cancer, then they start to like walk out of your life. What's the reason for
No,
that?
no. It's like for example, a lot of people I found that the reason why they are asking you for your well-being is because of this kepo lah. Basically kepo lah. They just want to know your condition. But after that, that's it lah. It's just curious lah. They're just curious. And then for this type of people who just curious, you're answering them and they'll come back again and they're just curious. They technically, it's like they won't say, hey, when is your next chemotherapy? Can I drive you there? That kind of thing. They will not. All right. They will just every day they just text you, how are you? Okay, how you the kind of thing, how you feeling today? The kind of thing, right? And then they won't offer any help and assistance, no prayers, nothing. Just kepo lah. Yeah, that's all. So that. Oh, okay. I'll just tell people. I mean, it's not that they're bad people. I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm just saying that when your runway is short, right? You don't have time for everyone. You need to prioritize the things you do and the time you spend with the people you love. That's all.
Right. And let's say if you were to live your life over again, what are some things that you would do differently?
So if I have to live my life all over again, I want to invest in eternity more, right? So, like for example, now I am like the reason why my son asked me, why are you doing all this? I mean, bringing people to herbalists, spending time on a coffee shop with cancer patients, talking to cancer patients, reading Bible stories to them, that kind of thing. They asked me, my son asked me why I'm doing that. I said, I get a lot of positive energy. All right. Is it okay to talk about your dad? Okay. So your dad, two Saturdays, I think 2 or 3 Saturdays ago, your dad, so your dad had cancer, and his cancer was also like stage 4. All right. Then he came to me. I gave him this herbs here. You see? So this is called South African leaf. All right. He came. I brought him to Uncle Tan. Uncle Tan gave him this herbs called South African leaf. So how to recognize these herbs? So at first it's very bitter. When you take it, it's very, very bitter. And then it has got like dots on the stems. That's how you recognize this leaf. All right. So this is called South African leaf. And Uncle Tan, right, prescribed Lea Indica to me, but prescribed this South African leaf to your dad. And then your dad said that he has been taking it every day for like 3 months, 4, about 5, 6, half a year already. I think the last interview, right, was half a year. And your dad told me that he's quite sure that this thing reduced his tumor. And then now the oncologist is saying that, he doesn't need to come like every 1 month for chemotherapy. He like 3 months delayed. The chemotherapy has been delayed. And the doctor said his condition is good. The prognosis was good. And he was very happy. So 2 Saturdays ago, your dad came to see me. All right. And he asked me about more details of this plant, how it looks like and all that, because he wanted more supply. He found some leaves, right, that looks like it. He was not sure, so he came to confirm. But what he told me, right, your dad showing, all right, he said that, he was very glad that I saved his life. All right. And then he also said that this is fate, destiny. Why? He said destiny because so many people offered me alternative cures. And he was at a stage where he was totally confused. And the doctor, his prognosis for his life was not good. All right? Was not good because he was stage 4 also. And he said, my son Rayner came to me and said, why don't you go see Robin? Right? He took some herbs and he got better. Why don't you see Robin? And then your dad said, because it came from my son, I believe. All right. If it was anybody else, I wouldn't have believed. I would have missed that chance. So your dad said, it was because of my son. All right. So we're glad that you encouraged him to come. And therefore now he's doing very well. He's doing very well. And he knew it was his plan. So for me, I was like, when he came to see me 2 Saturdays ago, after he broke out to me that his condition is much better, for the whole day, I was just sitting down, spellbound. I was like in cloud nine. Why? Because it's like, boy, it's a real testimony from him. He was the second person to give me a real testimony, all right, from this same plant. Not the same plant, another one. My neighbor that lives upstairs, also the wife told me after they took the plants, the tumor shrinked. All right. So your dad was supposed to tell me the same thing, a tumor shrink after they took the plants. So I was like, wow, it was like great news. And I told your dad the same thing. I said that now that God has given you another chance to live, all right, think about how you should live differently. Your perspective of life, how you should live differently. It cannot be business as usual anymore. All right, because it's the same for all cancer patients. Cancer patients, I always say, they live with a gun on their head. All right, it's Russian roulette. You don't know when the bullet is going to come. Right, because when it relapses, it's very fast. It comes very fast. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, Robin. I mean, even my dad didn't tell me that, so when you shared that with me, it was very touching. And speaking of destiny, I think what's really amazing is that I think prior to cancer, we only met each other once, right? I think at Raffles City for coffee. Then the second time we met was when I realized that you actually, survived cancer, and that's when my dad just got cancer. And when we meet up, was nothing to do with cancer, but somehow, you helped us, with the herbs and stuff. So I think that the timing was actually also very impeccable. So, So what are some advice you would give to someone who, let's say, is facing cancer or some other life-threatening disease?
So I think that, that you need to be brave to try out alternative medicine. So if I have like now, I mean, it's like, what will I do to my children now that, so now the first thing I got back, after during my remission, the first thing I was well enough, I make sure everyone has got an insurance policy. Okay? Because I know how much it cost. Right? My cancer treatment easily cost me $500,000. Easily. If not more. If not million, I don't count it because the insurance pay everything for it. So I don't bother to count it. But I know it's like easily $500,000. Okay? Now, when I go to the hospital, my chemotherapy jab, just one jab is $4,400. All right? Can you imagine if you don't have? So that is one of the anxiety that cancer patients go through, the high medical bills. Right? So my neighbor tell me that, I'm getting that, but I don't know how to pay it. I may have to sell my house just to pay medical bill because his chemotherapy, every session is $10,000. And you see, I just don't know how to pay it, but I just have to go through it and then think about how to pay it later. So another thing about cancer insurance, right, is that I was lucky I was in the SAF. And then SAF was like, paying also 70% of my bills. So for everyone out there, all right, please buy insurance and make sure that you have a rider. You know what's a rider? I
heard of it.
So a lot of people don't know what's a rider, right? So it's like, if you have a bill, say 30,000, all right? So if you don't have a rider, most time you have to pay first 10% through your cash. That means the first 10%, which is 3,000. So you got to pay cash. So anything above 3,000, the insurance pay. All right. So I'm lucky because my first 10% was paid by SAF. So I don't have the first. Even the first 10% that you pay can kill you, because cancer treatment is lifelong. It can kill you already. Not even to pay. So the first thing you have to do is. So when I went back to all my kids, right, I said insurance is a necessity. It's not a luxury. You have to get it. Right? There's no way out, right? So insurance first thing, you get it. Second thing is, I look at the lifestyle of the young kids now. When I don't believe I had cancer, or cancer struck me. After today, I don't believe it. Why? Because I exercise 7 hours a week. I was like, very, I was a very fit guy. I played a lot of tennis, and I sweat a lot. And then I don't believe I had cancer. And I look at the young people today, they are always on the phone. They're always behind a computer. They are sedentary, right? So now, every time I bought a herbs, it's not for me only, it's for all these people, right? So to my children, that's what I do. They buy insurance and, take the herbs, all right? So there are only few things that you need to protect yourself, right, today in the modern world. First, cancer. Second, most people die. Number 1, number 2 killer, heart disease, cancer. I have both. So I have both, right? So I got to stand here 90%. So now I take what? I take herbs that clear my clots, and I take the cancer herb. Just two herbs I take, all right? And I make sure the whole family takes it because of what I've gone through. So that's what I'll do. But I think in the end, there are 5 types of security in life, all right? That I'll tell my kids. I tell my kids 5 times. 1, I always said, okay, there are 5 important things. First, the most important, spiritual fitness, physical fitness, mental fitness. Let's put it to 4. Maybe financial fitness. All right? Spiritual, physical, mental, financial fitness. So in the past, it was this way around. All right? The priority was different. Financial first. I always worry about financial things. Physical, mental, spiritual. But now it's this way, spiritual. All right? So let me explain. For example, we all know that if you're not physically fit, you can have a mansion, but if you're ill, your bed is a bed in the hospital. All right? If you're not fit, you can have a Ferrari, but the means of transport is a wheelchair. Correct? You're not fit, you're sick, you cannot eat all your favorite food. Your food is pills every day, tablets and fuel, right? So you need to be fit. You need to be strong. All right? You need to have... So a lot of people who are fit, who are strong, got money, but they don't have mental health. They're always in depression, right? They're always feeling lonely, depression. They got no purpose in life, right? So that's not good. So that's mental strength, mental fitness. So the other thing which I said is most important is a spiritual fitness, right? Why? Because, right, you can have everything, all right? You have no peace because you're not connected to your God. You don't know where you come from. You don't know what's your purpose in life. Okay? So if you don't have spiritual fitness, right? So there are 2 things about every human being. Your perspective of life. 1 is that you die and you'll be part of the earth. Right? You're buried, you're part of the earth, you're gone. The second thing is you don't believe that life stops here. Life is eternity. All right? You will live again, but you don't know which eternal world that you will go. That's your only problem, right? So you know that there's life after death. So if you know there's life after death, and the life don't end here, which what the Bible teaches us, we either go to hell or heaven after we die, then we have to live differently, right? Correct? So if for example, if I'm not convinced there's afterlife, I'll just live for this life. And what it means that at my deathbed, right, my bank account should be 0. I should just party all the way. That's what I should do because life ends here. It's what they say, right? There's only one life. Enjoy it. But if you think that, hey, this life, right, will come to pass, right? And I always tell people that never invest in a losing game. This is a losing game because everything that you do, right, you cannot take them away. It's a losing game. The house, your children, your family, your money, you cannot take them away. One day, everything has to go. All right? So if you think everything has to go and you cannot bring them along and life doesn't end here, then you have to live differently. Right? Remember I said life is an ecosystem. You come, you go. So this life is a test bed for the next life. And if you live for yourself, so in life is either you live yourself or you live for your creator. Okay? If you live for a creator, you live for somebody else. All right? But if you live for yourself, then you will just do everything for yourself. Like the thief on the cross. Save me. If you are God, save yourself and save me. All right? Yeah. So even at the cross, right? He was dying already. He still say, think of himself. So in this life, either we think for ourselves or they always say, live a purpose, do the will of God here. And then this life will determine how you live the next life. Right? So that's what I tell my children. Right? You need to know where you come from. If you come from a creator, you have to go back to your creator. What's your purpose in life? And the third question, where will you go after you die? So that's the three most important questions. If you cannot answer these three questions, then you won't have peace. And you don't know how to invest in eternity. Yeah.
All right. And this one will be, what would you say to someone? I think people who have cancer sometimes they don't want to share with their loved ones and friends because they don't want to be a burden to them, right? So what would you say to someone who has cancer and don't want to share the news with others for the fear of being a burden to them?
Well, I think first thing is that when you have cancer, you are helpless. You cannot hide, right? You will need help. So first thing, I don't think you can really conceal it for too long, right? When I had cancer, I was totally helpless, And I remember a couple of times when I was like just watered the ICU, nearly watered the ICU. When I have just a fever and cold, right? It's different from like you have a fever. You see, normal person, you have a fever and cold, right? You can just take some Panadol and lie on the bed and rest a while. For me, it's like, the whole body is just shivering and it's just breaking down because the virus was attacking me so fast, right? So you need a lot of help. You need people to cook for you, all right? You cannot cook for yourself. You're always throwing. You need somebody to transport you, right? And emotionally, you're not stable. So you are basically attacked from all fronts. So you need help. So you got to reach out to people who can help you. You cannot, if you're a cancer patient, you cannot keep quiet, all right? And then, the people who loves you, all right? So the unfortunate ones are the ones that has cancer, but very little help. And that's where, in my cancer ministry, I want to help these people. Got no help. Yeah.
So what's a typical, day like for you right now?
All right. So the typical day for now, so I changed a lot of my lifestyle, right? So now after what I've gone through, I work from home. I don't go to office anymore. All right. Although my business, I got people running my business in the office. So I work from home. And I used to go to bed very late. I work, I trade a lot. So now I change it. I take more sleep. And during my last couple of years of cancer, a lot of nights I spent in hospitals. And there's a lot of pain. All right. When you go to hospital, you cannot sleep well because every few minutes they're coming to measure your blood pressure, they're taking your blood tests, they're poking needles through your body all over and that kind of thing. So, and the food is not nice, of course. So every night before I sleep, I look to God, thank you that I'm going to sleep without pain tonight. All right. So I always very thankful. So now, even simple things like sleeping, right, is a luxury to me. It's a luxury. So when I sleep, I wake up, all right? Before I sleep, I thank you. And I wake up in the morning, I say, thank you, I had a good sleep, right? So I learned to be thankful for a lot of even very simple things, like even like food, eating, just take out water, I can just take them, eat them well. I'm very happy. Yeah. So that's what I do, right? I wake up, I thank God. So I don't do that all the time. And then in those days, when I wake up, the first thing I think is, how am I going to make the next dollar? All right. Because I'm an entrepreneur, right? So I make my money myself. I don't have a boss like you. So we are the same. We are entrepreneurs, right? So we make our own dollars in order to feed the family. And to do that, you need to be thinking all the time. So when I wake up in the morning, I asked, where can I make the next dollar? Today, when I wake up, I asked a different question. I asked, Lord, what will you have me to do today? It's a different question I asked, right? So, so today, so I give priorities to ministries, all right? So if I have to bring a cancer patient out today, I'll drop everything, all right? My trading, my business, whatever, I'll drop. Yeah, I'll just bring a cancer patient, right? To be with him, to see a doctor, to talk to him, to share with him a Bible story or something like that, right? So that is my priority now. And then I also believe, so I have been doing this, I'm building a trading robot. So most of my time is building a trading robot with a team. So I got a team of 4 of us. The programmer, 3 programmers, including me, full-time. We were working on the robots for a long time. And my objective previously about building a robots is making a lot of money. But after the cancer, it becomes different. It's like, okay, now what do I want to make money for? All right? So I want to use the money, right, to bless as many people as possible, cancer patients who cannot afford the treatment, help them. People who cannot make a living, help them. People who wants to be a priest or a missionary or something but don't have enough money, help them. All right? So that's what I want to build a training robot for. So now I need to focus building a training robots and doing the cancer ministries. And that's it. I'm happy, very happy with life. And then I'm ready to go. Anytime when he calls me to go home, I'm ready to go.
So we've covered a lot of ground today here, Robin, and thank you so much. So is there anything that you want to add that I might have missed off?
Well, I think that I've covered, I think we have covered most things, but I just want to add that something else. All right. Did we talk about that National Geographic thing? Correct.
Okay, yeah, please.
Yeah, okay. So I just want to add about this, all right, that so I watched a very interesting documentary on Netflix, all right, about how not to get cancer and how to live longer. Okay. So Netflix, right, they did a research, right? They visited many countries and they interviewed a lot of people, those, especially centenarian, meaning people who live above 100, right? So the most people they found was in 5 places they call blue zones. Blue zones, and I cannot remember everything, but I can remember a few. Like for example, in Italy, there's a place called Sandirio. In California, there is a place called, I think, I forgot where it is, but in Japan I can remember Okinawa. All right, so these are the places, right? So there are 5 places in the world where people live above 100. So they find out, and there's a common factor, right, that caused them. First, those guys, most of them, these people who live longer, they're vegans. They eat, so they were not like pure vegetarian. They eat more vegetables than meat, all right? So they're not pure vegetarian, they eat more vegetables. So there are a lot of diets of vegans. And a a lot of these places, right, they are places where people need to walk a lot to get to the house or to get to the shopping centers, all right, or to get to the transport. They need to walk a lot. So exercise and vegan. And I can relate this to the Garden of Eden. You know, in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, where God first created the world, all right, He created two persons called Adam and Eve, and He put them in the Garden of Eden. And God said, while you are in the Garden of Eden, eat of the trees that bear the fruits and the plants that has got seeds. So basically vegan, right? Because in the Garden of Eden, right, there was never mention of animals. And man lives with animals, right? So they never kill the animals. So I presume, right? So it never say that man is vegan, but I presume from reading it that men are more vegan than animal eaters. So what happened was that what changed after that man started eating meat? Okay, so what happened was that God told Adam and Eve, okay, I created you, both of you, the first two human beings on the earth, but you can eat of the fruits of all the trees. You never see animals. You can eat all the fruits of all the trees, but there's only one tree that you cannot eat. That is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. You cannot eat the fruits there. But you know what happened? They went to eat it. And after they eat it, right, they disobeyed God. After this, sin came to their life. And therefore, we all have to die because of sin. Sin is like cancer again in our lives. So, we all have to die because of Adam and Eve. So after Adam and Eve sinned, right, so what happened was that at first they were all naked. They look at themselves, nothing wrong. But after they eat of the fruits, right, they begin to be ashamed of themselves. They went to hide. So they're hiding in the bushes, right? Because they look at themselves, hey, we're all naked. So hide in the bush. So what they did was, after they healed, so God came and looked for them. And God was walking in the garden and God said, Adam, where are you? He asked Adam, where are you? And Adam was very ashamed. So what he did was he killed some animals, all right? And then he used the animal cloth to cover himself. Okay, so that was the start, all right, I think, of people eating animals. Before that, it was vegan, right? So when God created man to live forever and ever, right, it was basically vegan. Okay, so that's how I get the theory from. But another thing that I want to draw from this is that here again, it's the same, we are all created in the Garden of Eden to be perfect, right? To be perfect. But because we sin, and therefore, in those days, what they do, they kill animals as a sacrifice to God, to atone for their sin. But Jesus Christ come already. No need to kill any animal. He is the last animal to kill. He's like a Godhead, right? So he sacrificed for everyone, right? So that was the last sacrifice. Yeah, so that was the story.
Okay, and also you were sharing on the Netflix, so it's walk more, eat vegan. Any other patterns that you realize that you want to share? Or those are the two key ones?
Okay, so that is, I think that is two key ones, all right? You have to exercise a lot. Seek for, everything go natural, right? Let me share my experience. Okay, so before that, about 10 years ago, I had a chest problem, all right? So I went to the doctor, and doctor said, hey, you are 90% clot in your heart. So they put a stent in my heart, right? So about 3 months ago, I had the same chest pain. I was worried. So I checked the hospital and I got them to do angiogram. Angiogram is very thorough check. $17,000, right? Just for one afternoon check, right? $17,000. So I did it because I was afraid I would get a heart attack. I did it. And then the doctor said this. The doctor said, hey, it's something very strange. I said, what strange? He said that you had a clot of 40% 5 years ago, and today the clot has not increased. In fact, it has decreased. He said something that, it's very strange to him. Then I remember what I do. I take the herbs, and that herbs, right? It's a Chinese name for it. It's called Hong Tian Wu. It's called Hong Tian Wu Chinese. English, I don't know what you call it. But there's one herbs, right, that you go. It's an old folk tales herb, but to me it works. It's an old folk tale herbs. Like for example, I would go to the markets, and you ask people, "What is this herb for?" They say, "Oh, it's to clear the clot in your heart." So I go to Malaysia. I go to the market. Every time I see the herbs, they all give me the same reply. Every one of the hawkers, people who sell the vegetables and all that, they will say, "Oh, this is clear the clot in your heart." Yeah. So people who buys it, I ask them, "What do you buy for?" Is it clear the clot in your heart? So now I take two things, all right? Clear the clot in my heart and the cancer plant. That's all.
What about your diet?
All right. So I eat everything. All right. So of course you don't want to eat those fried foods. Yeah. But I just eat everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not say more towards plants. You eat both plants and animals, are both you have.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I grow. So now, all right, I go to Uncle Tan Herbs, and I learn a lot. Besides cancer plants, I learn a lot more from him. So I learn plants that I can, like herbs that I can eat like vegetables, herbs. So I plant a lot of them, and then every day I eat them. Yeah.
Okay.
So I eat them fresh.
And just one last thing, before you go, right, where can the audience find and connect with you if they want to chat up with you?
Okay, so you can connect me on my Facebook, Robin Ho. All right, so go to Facebook, look for Robin Ho, and make a friend. Ask any question you want, especially about cancer. All right, because I'm doing a cancer ministry. Ask me anything about investing, how to invest in the future. Ask me anything about how do you find peace in life. All right, just go to my Facebook, ask me any questions. And I'll be glad to help.
Okay, thank you so much, Robin. I'll put the link in the description, right? So thank you once again, Robin. Happy to have you.
Yeah. Thanks, Rayner.
Thank you.
Great.
Hey, what's up, my friend? So just one thing before you go. Do you know you can download the transcript of this episode? This way, you can easily recap the lessons and insights of this episode without having to listen to it again. And that's not all, because you can also download the transcripts of all the past episodes and quickly catch up on what you've missed. So if you're interested to do that, then go down to raynerteo.com/script. Script is spelled as SCRIPT. So once again, it's raynerteo.com/script. Go check it out and I'll talk to you soon.